The asshole's in charge and we can't do anything.
I mean, he's not following the laws.
Isn't deporting people that are in the country illegally following the laws, though? If they're going after some of the most dangerous gang members in the world, child rapists, would you want them to be delicate with that?
Yeah, no, but
What is going on, everyone? James Klug here. Do Democrats want to abolish ICE? This rhetoric has been repeated by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the DNC Vice Chair David Hogg. But how mainstream is it really? Today we're going to find out. Let's go talk to some people. Many prominent Democrats are calling to abolish ICE, the people that deport individuals from the country that are in the country illegally. Should we abolish ICE?
you want to answer that?
No comment. Should we abolish ICE?
Yeah, but you can't because the asshole's the asshole's in charge and we can't do anything.
Sure.
Abolish them?
Sure.
Definitely. Absolutely.
Yes.
If you're Latino, yes, abolish ICE? Okay.
I kind of have mixed feelings on that.
A mixture of abolishment.
Yeah, maybe.
I would say no, don't abolish it, but I mean, if we do abolish it, then I would like to see it get replaced with something.
What would be the point of abolishing it then?
That's what I'm saying, you know, like, yeah.
It reminds me, though, of the ill-fated defund the police, right? It doesn't play well.
Good idea or bad idea?
Bad idea.
I think it's a bad idea because then what's going to happen?
Should we abolish ICE?
No.
ICE is doing good work. They need to round up the people that are here illegally and send them back home.
Why do you have mixed feelings on that?
Well, because I think ICE does certain things that they should be doing, you know, but the problem
Enforcing immigration law?
Yes, exactly.
When it comes to abolishing ICE, right, these are the men and women that are arresting gang members, rapists, murderers. If we abolish ICE, that is not happening. Are we okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with it
Absolutely.
because there aren't that many of them. I think that's all blown out of proportion.
It is.
About 70% of the arrests so far have been people accused of committing a
That's
crime.
what they say.
That's
What do you guys think about that?
Is it
That's
true?
what
Is that a good
They
thing,
say
getting them
that's
off the street, or no?
That's not
That
true.
would be if it was true.
But
Okay.
it's not. It's not
Why is
true.
it not true?
Because they make up lies. It's absolutely true. And who else is going to, the whole economy is going to absolutely be demolished.
Absolutely.
Because nobody else was going to do these jobs.
I mean, I support that they go after the criminals, yes. I mean, if they have records, they know that there is rapists out there, to go after them, yes. But not the ones that are just working, you know, hard workers.
Isn't coming into the United States illegally, isn't that a crime?
That is a crime, but I mean, some people do it out of desperation for their families to make a better living for themselves.
Don't people rob other people out of desperation to put money in their pockets?
They do, yes, but
Should that not be prosecuted?
those are the ones that's supposed to be prosecuted. But you can't look at everybody the same, you know?
These are the men and women that are doing welfare checks on unaccompanied minors, many of which their sponsors are putting them into forced labor, as well as in worst cases, sexually abusing them or
Yes.
sex trafficked.
Yes.
If you abolish ICE, that means that's not getting done. Do you support that?
Yeah, there's because
There's a right way to do things in a wrong way.
and people who had sexually abused kids were arrested before. There's things called police, but like
ICE does immigration stuff. We still have police,
Yes.
right? You know, they are the ones that are doing welfare checks on unaccompanied minors.
No, it's all wrong.
Many
what
times
they're
they're being
doing now.
abused. And
But there was ICE before Trump took control of it, so it might have been doing some nice things. But yes, I'm anti what's going on right now.
what are you anti? Do you mind if I ask you really quick?
Well, yeah, it's like a police state. You know, we don't need people in, you know, full gear coming into schools and public places trying to take people out. You know.
Well, if they're hunting down, you know, gang members, cartel members, maybe child rapists,
Sure, they can find
do you,
those in
should
the
they not
jails
be
and prisons.
armed?
There's other ways to find them than in public places like that. Okay, that's the point.
Okay, we've heard that before.
If they don't like the way the existing laws are, then they should work toward changing the laws. But I think, you know, ICE is operating under the existing laws, and I think the laws are good and just.
Maybe instead of targeting people who come here and like work and stuff like that, they can go after actual like criminals and stuff like that instead of like hardworking people that actually want to come out here and make a change for themselves and their family.
Right. So maybe you have less of a problem with ICE, whose job it is to enforce immigration law, than just you more have a problem with immigration law.
Yeah.
What should the punishment be for coming into the country illegally?
Depends. I mean, depends how many times you get caught. I feel like.
So as for abolishing, about 70% of the arrests right now, or at least during Trump's first 100 days, were people accused of committing a crime in the United States or in another country, rape, murder, stuff like that. So 70% of the arrests lately have been criminals.
Okay.
Would you still support abolishing ICE? Because the other 30% are just people that came into the country illegally.
I mean, I wouldn't abolish them, but I would go in a different way about it, rather than the way that they're, going into places, public places, or just, entering without any kind of, document from the court saying that this person lives here, we have to go after him.
Just to clarify, ICE does not need a warrant to arrest a person that is in the country illegally, unless in certain cases they need to go into a private property or something like that. Even then, they still likely don't need a judicial warrant. They have internal warrants that they can issue.
I think that's not constitutional. I mean, going into somebody's home is more like a terrorist attack.
You know that feeling when your coffee actually does what it's supposed to, gets you focused, lifts your energy, doesn't leave you crashing an hour later? This is what good coffee is supposed to feel like, and this is what you get with 1775 coffee. You guys, I love this coffee. I recently went on a trip to Puerto Vallarta, and I didn't want to bother with trying to search for a good cup of coffee every single morning, and I already know that 1775 is excellent, so I brought it with me, had it every day. It is that good. Their coffee's organic, single origin, high altitude, and small batch roasted. That means no toxins, no acidity, no jitters, just smooth, clean coffee that fuels your day without weighing you down. And right now with their starter kit, you get 3 bags of premium coffee plus exclusive coffee merch, including a matte black tumbler, frother, gold spoon, or reusable K-cup filter. You pay for 2 bags of coffee, and 1775 covers the rest. Whether you drink whole bean, ground coffee, or K-cup pods, you choose your option. This means you're paying less than $1 a cup for coffee quality you won't find in most stores. You guys, if you're looking to save money, this is definitely a place to start. Head to 1775coffee.com/Klug and start your morning with coffee that supports your values and your health. I'll put a link down in the description below. I would love to hear your thoughts about people that are telling me, yes, abolish ICE. What's going on there? What are your thoughts about that response?
Yeah, I think they're just not informed or fed information that maybe sometimes is not always truthful. I mean, that happens in the media.
The problem with the Trump administration is they've gone way overboard, and they are taking people that they don't even know for sure if they're legal here or not.
Like who?
Well, what about that? I can't think of his name. Abrego.
It was so made up that he had tattoos on his fingers. It was,
Are you talking about Kilmar Abrego Garcia?
yes.
You can't just send somebody to another country just because they, are a member of a gang, which I think even that.
If you're in the country illegally, you're violating immigration law and they send you out.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's true.
He's an El Salvadorian national. He was in the country illegally, and by all available evidence, he was involved in MS-13.
I don't think so. I don't know.
According to
If
court
that's his
documents, it was
name.
verified.
I don't think so. From his family, and it was.
He had a lot of accusations.
Yeah. Well, that's
He even
not
had,
what we.
he had a reliable gang unit police informant that pointed to him, gave his name and his position within MS-13. He was also accused of being an MS-13 gang member by his girlfriend or wife's ex. And he, when he was arrested in 2019, he was hanging out with other MS-13 gang members, wearing their clothing.
Okay. Then maybe it's someone else.
This administration does not believe in doing anything by the law, as you can tell with the Supreme Court. He is not following the law at all. He's making up his own laws, and that's exactly how he's getting people out of this country.
Are you referring to the Alien Enemies Act, or are you referring to something else here?
To his administration. Okay. I mean, he's not following the laws.
Isn't deporting people that are in the country illegally following the laws, though?
I think we may be on different,
I mean, if you're against ICE, then you have to be against any and all law enforcement, I think. But it's like you see ICE as the enemy, and they're doing their job. And if if you're doing bad things in this country, you shouldn't have the nerve, if you were born in another country, to be upset about it. So, and if your family members are, well, then your family members should sit you down and tell you, stop doing bad things then. I mean, you're our father or mother or whatever.
Right.
You need to be a good tax-paying citizen, and then you probably won't really have to worry about getting deported.
What should the punishment be for coming to the United States illegally, do you think?
I don't think if you don't do a crime, you can stay here. If you're working and working toward a green card, you should be able to stay here. Yeah.
We have a lot of problems when it comes to overcrowded classrooms. We have a lot of social programs that Americans pay money into. Is that for...
That's what's happening with the climate.
Totally.
There are too many people on this earth.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
And Mother Earth is hurting. So you can say...
Mother Earth is hurting.
So you can say too many kids in the classroom. You can say
China,
too many...
India, not helping with that stuff.
Yeah, right.
They're much less clean than we are. We actually do a fairly good job for how big of a country we are. But I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, look, don't go throwing... If some kid was throwing trash in the ocean right now, we would stop him, right? Both you and I. When it comes down to it, though, you know, if there's nothing enforcing people to not come illegally, right, then doesn't that just mean that you end up with a bunch of people coming in that you don't know who they are, and then you end up with gang members here?
Country illegally. Every one of us entered this country from a different country.
Yeah.
You know, so why should they have the same chance that my great-grandparents had?
Do you think with our social programs and how, I mean, you know, they're basically bankrupting the United States, is that for the rest of the world?
Yeah, there won't be any social programs.
But with our social programs, Americans pay money into those. Is that for the whole world, or is that for Americans that are paying into it?
It should be for the whole world. We should take care of each other.
Can we afford that?
Yes. We can go with less.
We're $37 trillion in debt. What do you think?
Instead of...
Should we be doing that right now when we're $37 trillion in debt?
The rich people getting richer and the poor getting poorer is exactly what this administration is doing. Then that I am not for. We need to bring it back together.
How does unfettered mass migration affecting low-wage work improve that?
I don't know.
You know, I'm so curious about your thoughts on the rhetoric. There's worse rhetoric than just abolish ICE. We have a San Diego city councilman that was posting ICE. They had a raid the other day. They arrested a member of Tren de Aragua, and you know, one of the most violent gangs in the world. But the city councilman reposted that video and called them terrorists. We have Tim Walz that referred to ICE as Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo. What are your thoughts about that rhetoric?
Well, you know, I think it's that rhetoric that cost Tim Walz and Kamala Harris their opportunity to occupy the White House. It was Trump and his policies that got him into the White House and has more support than anyone could ever imagine that Trump would have. So if you really look at it from the perspective of the American public, at least the majority of the voting public, we all feel a certain way. And when a councilman says something that irresponsible, all they're doing is they're speaking to their constituency, which I would assume are illegal immigrants, and maybe they're terrorists. I don't know. But I don't know. Having been a councilman myself in this town, I don't understand how anyone in their right mind, as a councilman, can make a comment like that, especially given that to some degree they're representing their constituency. Now, again, their constituents must be people who would rather have those terrorists in their community, because I don't understand how anyone with a brain could actually make a comment like that. It's just they're extremely irresponsible.
Tim Walz, I'm sure you remember Tim Walz.
Yeah.
He was Kamala Harris's VP pick.
Yeah.
And he referred to ICE as Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets.
You're familiar with the Gestapo, correct?
Yeah.
Do you think that's necessary to say that?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, you know,
Would you condemn that rhetoric or no?
Not necessarily.
I'm not sure. I haven't really formulated a thought. I will say that the rhetoric on the right is so horrific that the balancing of rhetoric coming from the left that's probably a little bit extreme is kind of caused by the rhetoric coming from the right that's so just xenophobic and horrible.
The Gestapo, they rounded up, you know, minority groups, Jews, gays, brought them to concentration camps, executed them. Is that a comparison to the men and women that are, you know, deporting rapists, murderers, you know, people that are in the country illegally?
Yeah, but the thing is that the Gestapo, I mean, you can say Gestapo, and that's a pretty strong term. I admit that's a pretty strong term.
Strong term, yeah.
Yeah, but it could mean Gestapo in terms of going over the line, in terms of what they're mandated to do, and they go over I think they have gone over the line, and that's very concerning to people.
Well, the Gestapo's, their instructions were to do exactly what they did. So they were doing their job. I guess saying that ICE, the men and women of ICE, are the modern-day Gestapo means that they're rounding up gay people, Jewish people, executing them, putting them in concentration camps to be tortured, forced labor.
That's not necessarily what he referred to. I don't think that's necessarily what he
You just don't think, okay, you don't think that's what he meant.
I don't know.
Just was using...
I didn't hear it.
Okay. Would you like me to show you the video or no?
No, that's okay. That's okay.
There's a couple examples of ICE raids this week. One was in Boston, okay? So in Boston, they arrested I'll make sure that nobody's around children.
Yeah.
In Boston, they arrested a child rapist that was deported in 2017. He came back into the country. And then we had another one that was on El Salvador's most wanted list that was wanted in El Salvador for aggravated murder and assault. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because those arrests were being done. This was an ICE raid that happened in Boston, and activists interfered and were bragging about it on social media. I'll show you this clip right here.
They're in the street, right?
They're in the street, and basically they're saying, when a crowd surrounded their vehicle and blew their cover. So they're blowing their cover during an ICE raid where they were arresting a murderer and a child rapist. Yeah. Can I get your thoughts on that activism? What do you think's going on there, and what are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, if they already knew that what the person did, I mean, come on, really? You're going to protest against that? Like, it's really stupid.
Do you condemn that? What do you think about that?
I'm not sure, because how do you know who they were after if they were really a criminal? Where's the proof? Just like you go to trial if you do anything wrong, I guess, if you're caught. So I'm not sure where you really know the proof.
Would you support people interfering in like a SWAT raid for a drug bust? Would you support people interfering with that? Or would you just kind of trust what they're doing and maybe, hey, you could look into it later?
Yes, I would just look into it later.
But would you support people interfering with like a SWAT raid if they were going after a murderer?
Oh, that's fine. They should.
They should interfere with that?
Well, no, people shouldn't, because people are going to get hurt.
Right.
Innocent people are going to get hurt.
I just don't understand. I'll go back to Reagan's doctrine on all of this. And Reagan was pretty clear about we have certain rights, just like you and I have certain rights. Sure. We can talk, we can disagree about things. We can grab a sign and go protest on the grass right now. We can do whatever we want. But the minute you actually destroy property, the minute you get in the way of the legal process that we as a country has established, then you open yourself up to anything. I feel the same way about, those who've resisted arrest over the years and then have found themselves injured or shot or killed as a result. The minute you are, as a career criminal, resisting arrest, you've opened yourself up to whatever it takes. I'm not going to second guess a cop. I'm not going to second guess an ICE agent. Once you've done that, then you deserve everything you're getting.
Nobody should be interfering in government official business. I mean, like I said, if ICE wants to go in there, go in peacefully, go in a way where it doesn't hurt the community or it doesn't hurt children that are sitting in a restaurant or affecting their future or their mindset, because psychologically now they have a bad impression as they grow up.
Yeah.
So
that leaves me with one question right there, because I hear what you're saying. Yeah. Where should they be allowed to raid areas? What do you think? We could draw this conclusion with, or we could draw a comparison with police departments. Where should they be allowed to go in and arrest somebody that's accused of committing a crime?
Well, if they know that a person is working at a certain place, at a certain business, right? Why can't they wait until that person comes out of that business and do it outside in the public?
I think ICE is a little too aggressive.
If they're going after some of the most dangerous gang members in the world, child rapists, would you want them to be delicate with that?
No, but
whatever you do, you have to be kind and humane.
Yeah.
And this administration is not being kind and humane.
How should they handle arrests for, let's say, because about 30%, according to their numbers right now, which is the only numbers we can really work with, we can also see their arrests that they're making. San Diego, Tren de Aragua gang member being apprehended during a raid. How should they go about it when it comes to going after gang members, murderers? How do they go about that in a friendly way, I guess I would say?
In a logistic way.
Okay.
logistic.
Do you think that people are properly thinking about what exactly that would entail if they do support the idea of abolishing ICE? Do you think it's coming from a position of ignorance, or do you think they genuinely want to abolish ICE and understand the issue?
Probably, it's hard not to understand the issue. I mean, it's really, to me, common sense. It's probably just ignorance.
People are sheep. They follow what's... If you ask someone what they believe in, they couldn't even tell you.
Obviously, the activists, they don't understand the circumstances.
Do you think they just don't understand, or you think they just don't care? What are your thoughts?
It could be both, couldn't it?
You know what, we perpetuated this nonsense for long enough, and now there's a correction that's taking place. Like it or not, there's a correction that's taking place. Does it have to swing far over to the right? No. As long as it swings somewhere in the middle. But if there's one thing I've learned in the 61 years I've been on this planet, it swings, it doesn't swing and land in the center. It's got to swing to the right and land back. Just like it didn't swing and land left of center. It swung way out there until the American public said, oh no.
All right, everyone, that is it for today. So we had some people that changed their minds and others that doubled down on abolishing ICE. But let me know what you guys think. Should we abolish ICE? Is this a good idea? What do you think about the conversations? Let me know down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe for more videos and hit that bell notification button so you are notified next to my post. And I'll catch you all in the next one. Also, huge shout out to our founder tier members. Thank you guys so much. You guys are the best. Look at these. I think we have two. I'm gonna put their name up on the screen. Literally the best patriots that are supporting the channel right now. We also appreciate all of our members. Thank you guys for keeping the channel afloat. I'm not funded by a big company or rich parents. I'm funded by you guys watching, so I appreciate you. If you want to become a founder tier member, sign up on YouTube. I'll put your name on the screen at the end of my videos. Thank you guys so much. Excuse me, sir. What are your thoughts? What are you doing? Huh? You're kind of silly. Yes. Well said. Thank you.